Hey everyone, Pastor Mark is here. And for those who don't know me, I'm an ordained Seventh day Adventist pastor with a passion for mission in secular, unchurched Western cities. Now, it's no secret that our church is struggling to reach emerging generations in the West. For example, here is an image from a recent report on Adventist church decline in Western countries. Now, notice how our church is growing in many parts of the world but struggling in the West. Take Europe, for example. There is only one SDA for every 2,049 people. In fact, take a look at the following image of what an Adventist village would look like today. Notice how, once again, the church is having an impact in most of the world, but in the West, primarily USA, Canada, Australia, and Europe, we are barely making a dent. If this isn't evidence enough that our church is dying in emerging secular cultures, maybe the next few stats will do the trick. Barna tells us that 60% of young adults who attended church in their teens will ultimately become spiritually disengaged at some point in their 20s. Thomas Rayner reports that 65% of churches in the West are in decline or plateauing. The Australian Generation Z report of 2019 revealed that 52% of Australian 13 to 18-year-olds identify themselves as nuns, no spiritual or religious beliefs. In fact, take a look at this recent statement from a similar study. When asked what three words come to mind when thinking about the Seventh day Adventist Church, many individuals do not know how to describe their understanding. In fact, the most common response was none, and was closely followed by unfamiliar and different. In the UK and Canada, the stats are pretty much the same. And in the US, where you have more progressive states with secular postmodern values, we see similar results. But even in the more religious states, we're not actually growing. We're either in plateau or we're in decline. And according to the Barna SDA Millennial Study, 36% of surveyed Adventist youth reported that they didn't feel like they belonged at church. 33% didn't feel like they could be themselves at church. 47% indicated that their church was an exclusive club. And nearly 60% reported that while they used to be involved in church, they didn't fit in anymore. According to Adrian Zaid's reflection in Compass magazine, in 2013, the Adventist Church held its first member retention summit. The results were sobering. The data revealed that from 1960 onwards, 30% or one in three people were leaving the church after being baptized in less than 3 years. The precise ratio was 43 people lost for every 100 new converts. All this at a time in history where religion is experiencing what researchers have termed the Great Decline. For example, Tobin Grant of Religious News Service states that previous declines in religion pale in comparison. Over the past 15 years, the drop in religiosity has been twice as great as the decline of the 1960s and 1970s. Just take a look at these other stats. What religion do you currently practice or identify with? The overwhelming response, none. How frequently do you attend church? The overwhelming response, I don't attend. How open are you to attending? Over 50 to 60% replied, not open at all. It's no secret that our church is struggling. The gospel is not taking root. In the secular West, the church appears to have lost, except we haven't lost. There is hope, but the hope requires change. I love how Cale B. DeWall puts it in his book, Mission Shift, Multiplying Disciples in Your Community. He says we are living in one of the fastest periods of change in human history, and the local Adventist church is in danger of becoming irrelevant. The local church is at a crossroads and needs to biblically reinvent itself to stay relevant in a rapidly changing world. Cale isn't the only one who thinks so. In the book Evangelism, Ellen White says new methods must be introduced. God's people must awake to the necessities of the time in which they are living. God has men whom he will call into his service, men who will not carry forward the work in the lifeless way in which it has been carried forward in the past. In other words, what we need in Western Adventism is innovation, creativity, and the return to the biblical principles that make the church a radical force in the world. But how do we do this? And what does it even look like? The answer to that question is why I'm recording this video. As a pastor with a passion for secular mission, I have spent the last 10 years connecting with people who would never set foot in our churches. I even planted a new church in my city specifically designed to disciple unchurched and unreligious seekers, which we call the R3 network. Now, I'm not saying this to toot my own horn. I just want you to know that I'm not just another theorist with a PhD. I'm in the trenches doing this work. And in 2023, I did something wild. I launched my own online school called the Mission Collective, which teaches Adventists all over the globe how to do mission in a secular world. And here's the best part about it: there's no door knocking, there's no handing out tracts or flyers, no letterboxing, and no talking to random people on the street. In this online school, I teach you how to share Jesus without having a panic attack, and in a way that is simple, sustainable, and creative. Just look at what some of our students are saying. Josue from the Netherlands writes, incredible. Alex from Hong Kong says, a real adventure. Horatio from Australia says, revolutionary. And Peter from Ireland says, meaningful. This school already has over 30 hours of training material focused on creative and innovative evangelism and mission in a world far removed from traditional church. We dig deep into our Adventist message while also seeking to understand postmoderns, skeptics, Gen Z, and emerging cultural shifts influenced by artificial intelligence, social media, and so much more. We also have a Discord channel where we encourage each other around the globe and live sessions on Zoom every Sunday. Now, I know what most of you are thinking. Most evangelism and discipleship schools like this cost anywhere from hundreds to thousands of dollars, and you just don't have that. Well, the good news is that not only is this an online school where you can learn relevant missional skills to build God's kingdom without having to leave your home, but you can get full access to everything I just spoke about for a small investment of just $17 a month. That's over 30 video workshops, PDF and PowerPoint downloads, free ebooks, live Zoom sessions, and a global community of creative and innovative believers passionate about supporting new ideas for just $17 a month. And you can cancel anytime. Here's the truth: the time for wishing the church was different or better, it's over. The time to talk about what we want to see has passed. With this online school, you will have everything you need to be a part of the change God is leading in the world and the church. So don't hesitate. Tap the button below to join right now. And if you don't see a button, just go to the storychurchproject.com/TMC and follow the simple instructions. Here's the deal, you guys. There is no other missional school like this one in the SDA church where the focus is mission to secular unchurched seekers and where the vision is to no longer be 20 years behind everyone else as a church, but to get 30 years ahead. So tap the button, fill out the form, join the revolution. I'll see you there.